All right, and we are live. And today we're going to talk about the payroll protection program that has come out again for a second round. And today we have Ronnie with us from Plains Capital Bank. A lot of you know him, some of you don't, but you're going to get to know him. And I am going to share my screen and he is going to give us some information. So Ronnie, as I do that, I'm going to let you take it over from here. And those of you that have joined us online, if you would mute yourself if you're on Zoom with us, and we'll give you an opportunity shortly to ask questions. So Ronnie, take it away.
Thank you very, very much, Lori, for having me. And just to let everybody know as we go through this, Plains Capital Bank and myself, we do really believe, as you can see in my background here, that our entire community is our herd. We know that sharing in knowledge and information in the community and helping people just have the right information and the right sources of information are going to help our community take advantage of what could be a great program. So thank you, Lori, for giving me the opportunity to do that. One thing that we also know for 100% sure is, just like last time, things are almost guaranteed to change. So this is based on our initial understanding of everything and sources between the SBA themselves, Treasury Department, the American Banking Association, SCORE, who is a subsidiary of the SBA, and whatever information has officially been released. So please make sure that you do stay in touch with your advisors, your lawyers, your CPAs. Your bankers are never going to be more valuable than they are when the government rolls out a program like this. So please understand that first as we go through everything. But thank you very much, Lori. And we will go ahead and jump right in. For people that do not know, the Paycheck Protection Program, or what we're going to refer to now as the PPP for the rest of this presentation, released another $285 billion that was approved to be funded through the SBA to both first-time and second-time borrowers, which from here on out we're going to refer to and is why they're named the first draw and second draw programs. Is your first-time borrowing from the PPP program or your second-time borrowing? That's what it's determined by. So they revamped the first round and released this new second round. But keep in mind that the first time they did this, it was $522 billion in funding, and the first wave and second wave of that evaporated in weeks each, and the whole program was completed in just months' time. So I hope that this information helps you get in front of the line, or at least the front half of the line that will get funded through this. But hopefully you see a sense of urgency in this compared to what happened last time. So thank you, Laura. If you can go to the next one. PPP loans are potentially fully forgivable or partially forgivable loans through the SBA and through your bank or through your lender that is a conduit for that. Under the new law, borrowers of $150,000 or less of your loan amount, their forgiveness is going to be just a one-page certification of how you use the forms and funds, and should not, unless they change anything between now and then, require additional documentation. Your application for the Paycheck Protection Program still will potentially include some documentation that's going to be needed so that you can verify payroll and payroll expenses and get your exact total PPP loan amount as high and as accurate as you possibly can. Loans require no collateral. They require no personal guarantee by any of the owners or the signers. And with the potential fully forgiven portion of it, you can use at least 60% of that, or you have to spend at least 60% of that on payroll, but you can use the other 40% on what we'll cover as eligible operating expenses. And they did expand that portion of the program this time also. So you can use it for different things this time than you could last time. And so that information and going through how to use it for protecting your employees from the COVID epidemic, or retrofitting your company or making adjustments or paying vendors can all be part of your forgiven expenses within the loan program. So what is different this time about PPP, other than there being another wave for second draw, is the priority was given to try and help and make sure that we help smaller businesses that did not receive a PPP loan before. And honestly, to give you my own personal opinion, the program is really designed to help most small businesses that were impacted and in business through the epidemic at all and are still in business now. So if you've survived now and you consider yourself a small business and you felt any impact from this COVID-19 epidemic in any way, you should at least be able to qualify for one round of PPP funding and potentially for a second round. Also this time, the loans max out at $2 million for the second draw loan. The first max was $10 million. And so you might have heard some publicity and news articles about larger companies taking advantage of that. And they really did a good job trying to carve out and prevent that this time and really target the focus and help to the smaller businesses that could potentially be on this call. So thank you, Lori. So who can apply for PPP loans? This is also something that is very commonly misunderstood, and the information is out there. So we'll give you some pointers and some highlight overviews. And then if you need more and deeper dive of it, I'll give you some resources, and then you're always welcome to email me or give me a call and help personally from there too. But any small business, sole proprietor, LLC, S Corp, independent contractors, or 1099 employees that are not going to be claimed as another employee through another organization are potentially eligible for this program. 501c3s, C19s, 31s, nonprofits, all eligible for this program. Businesses that did not receive a PPP the first time, you have a separate bucket of money for this first draw financing, which I believe is $35 billion just in that bucket, so that you hopefully will not potentially get locked out a second time. So we know that there were a lot of our clients that I had literally with applications submitted when the SBA ran out of funding and pulled the plug. So we're trying to put those ahead of time. And trust me when I tell you that my presence here and Plains Capital involvement in the PPP program, and most bankers will agree and maybe laugh when I say this, but we're not trying to solicit new PPP business. So most banks will only handle applications for their existing clients that have deposits or lending with them. So we're trying to help and get the information out there, but you will do this and apply with either your current bank or another institution, or hopefully Plains Capital if you're already a client of ours. But if not, check with your banks, and I'll give you some links too at the end for other options. But for the second draw loan, if you have not already benefited from the PPP program, you've never been a borrower, then it would be a first draw application that you would be filling out this time around. If you have a second draw, so you've already benefited from the program and you've exhausted all of the funds from your first draw program, you potentially qualify for the second draw. In order to do that, another qualifier for a second draw loan is you have to show a 25% drop in revenue. That means any quarter from 2019 compared to any like quarter from 2020, or the year over year comparison has to show a 25% reduction in gross receipts, or your gross sales. You have to show that 25% drop in revenue and potentially have to prove it via documentation upon your application with your lender. But you're going to have that conversation well before you know that you're actually submitting those documents to the SBA. When you go through that 25% calculation, Brett and I were just discussing earlier and then at the beginning of the call, that you can do that either via accrual or cash basis. So the law is specific in saying that this 25% drop in revenue is either actualized or accrued, and that is in the exact verbiage from the SBA. When you're looking for a lender and you might not know what your current bank is doing, or might not have confidence in your current bank or lender to help you through the program, you can go to the sba.gov/funding programs loans, and they have a lender match. So if you see that little link there in the corner, they can help you match a lender that is offering the program. Some of them are open this week for applications for first and second draw loans. Organizations that are right here in the Metroplex, like People Fund and Lift Fund that are in Fort Worth and Dallas. that their websites and are open and accepting PPP applications, and you can go right through their link and apply right there. So if you are going through your own lender and they are over $1 billion, they're probably not going to be open until next week to start taking applications. If you've exhausted your first PPP loan and you have less than 300 employees and you've experienced a greater than 25% reduction in gross receipts during any quarter relative or the whole year, then your maximum loan amount is going to be calculated by looking at either 2.5 times your gross payroll, your average monthly payroll, or if you were in the food service industry potentially, and you have a NAICS code that puts you within that industry, you will have a maximum loan amount of potentially 3.5 times your average monthly payroll costs. So those are also different from the first program. In addition to the documentation that you're going to need to actually show your payroll cost calculations, it is pretty much the same as the first time. So some banks, if you've applied for a first draw loan, did it with the software like Numerated or some other SBA type software, that they might be storing this information for you. So for some of our clients, they're not going to have to provide any documentation because they're just going to go with the same information that they used during the first application. That'll help speed things up a little bit for them and hopefully get the money in their pockets as soon as possible and a little bit ahead of time instead of submitting new documents. So look and check with your lenders if that's an option. After PPP, a lot of people took advantage last time of the EIDL loans or EIDL grants, the EIDL, Economic Injury Disaster Loans, which you apply for directly through the SBA's website. This law and part of this new funding reopened the up to $10,000 EIDL grant program. We don't know if they're going to release new loan application programs within it, but if you check back on the SBA website and you go through their COVID-19 link there, the EIDL grant program has another explanation for it. And right now, the EIDL application, as far as last time I checked this morning, was still locked, or it said that it expired already. But that and those details should be opened back up within the next week or two. So check back on the SBA website for that. Thank you, Lori. And the debt forgiveness that we've now finished for most of our clients through the first wave of PPP financing and looking for the second PPP financing is not limited just to PPP loans. So if you have an existing SBA loan, either a 7A loan or a 504 loan, an express loan through your lender or a micro lender, but you know it's an SBA guaranteed loan, they've done another wave of forgiveness for you for an additional 3 months of payments that are going to begin in February of 2021, which means that the SBA is making your payment for you to your lender for February, March, and April, not just rolling it to the back of the loan. So it's really a great thing that you are already in an SBA program. So if you think, well, I'm not yet, but man, would I love that to be my loan in a scenario like that? Well, if you originate a new loan sometime between December 22nd of 2020 and until September 30th of 2021, any SBA loan that is a 7A or 504 express loan through any lender is going to receive 6 months of government payments of principal and interest. Those payments, both sides, are capped at $9,000 a month, but you can fit a lot of loan payment within a $9,000 a month payment. And know that for startups, and we have clients that are at that phase of their business, that could be a difference maker in not having any loan payments for 6 months where they're just not pushed to the end, it's not deferred, but the government's making the payments for you. So that's really as good as it gets in that portion. Thanks, Lori. And
okay, so if you want to open it up, Ronnie, to questions from our Zoom participants.
Absolutely. Anybody have questions either about the PPP or the other changes through SBA this time?
And don't forget to unmute yourself.
Okay, Ronnie, I've got a question.
Yes, sir, Brett. Thank you.
If you got the EIDL loan last year, is that included in the deferred payments or them making the payments for the extra 3 months also?
That's a great question. Yes, it is included for that forgiveness or 3 months of payments, and you also have an option, and that you can dive really deep into the law and changes for this. But there's an option to refinance idle loan debt into a PPP. So you could look at refinancing your idle loan that's left over after your grant and trying to roll it into a PPP that could potentially be forgiven. So there are ways to do that, and depending on the circumstances and what you use the expenses for.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Any final notes that you would say, Ronnie, as far as information?
Yeah, I think I would definitely stay plugged into the SBA.gov website. Utilize the organization SCORE at score.org. And the bankers that are going to be local here are all members of the American Banking Association. We get updates and different reviews and different analysis on exactly what the law means to our clients. So stay in touch and stay up to date with your advisors, and your trusted advisors will help guide you through this. Don't try and understand everything on your own.
Okay. I think the other thing to mention, I know, is the timing, because once the money's gone, right? So if it's something you want to participate and do, you need to have a sense of urgency, correct?
Absolutely. I would plan on being ready. If you're not going to apply today with one of the lenders that are open today and you're just not ready, plan on knowing everything that you can about this and be ready to apply on Tuesday of next week when they open it up to banks that are over $1 billion in size to actually start taking applications. Because I kid you not, when people have already filled out their applications and are ready to pull the trigger as soon as the banks let them do it, those people will secure their lending first.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to take us off of Facebook Live. And if anybody wants to stay and talk with you, Ronnie, I will suggest that they do so. But we will stop our live stream for now. So just a moment.
Thanks, Lori.
And I think we have stopped. So if you guys want to, if anybody that's online wants to unmute and talk with Ronnie, I'm giving you that opportunity right now.
Hey, Ronnie, I'm sorry. I had somebody that walked into the office and I didn't get on right when I thought I was going to be able to, but I guess right now I just have one question. And is there a certain percentage of loss that you have to be able to show in order to apply for the second?
Yes, for second draw, it's 25%. Can be on accrual or a cash basis. And it just is 1 quarter of 2019 versus 1 quarter of 2020, or the whole year versus year comparison. So a lot of people pick second quarter of 2020 when compared to second quarter of 2019, and most clients can show that.
Yeah.
Some unfortunately can't. Yeah.
And that's it really. There aren't any options for companies that basically started in 2019 and so obviously aren't going to show,
yes.
We're not going to show a loss. We've had growth, but not like what we should have.
So there are other options and other calculations that get more specific for when you started. So if you weren't in business for the whole year of 2019, you can pick 1 quarter of that, annualize it, and then 1 annualized average from the next year. And there's a lot of breakdowns of that. But if you want me to email you kind of the raw data and you can kind of go through it, you shoot me a message with your email address and I'll send it out to you.
Okay, I appreciate it, Ronnie. Thank you.
No problem.
Any other questions from anybody? We're good?
I have a question.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Michelle.
Yeah, I missed the beginning, so I don't know if you gave your email address. I don't have it. Could you give it to me? I just have a question to ask about businesses that may have, I have one person that I'm trying to advised his business started at the he was established at the end of 2019, but because of COVID, he didn't actually open his doors because it was a restaurant, but he had already fully, set up the restaurant. So he didn't start accruing any revenue until August of 2020 and has been open since then. So would he be eligible for PPP?
Might be hard for PPP. He might get more benefit from the EIDL if he didn't actually start reporting revenue until August of 2020. Unless he can show a progression month over month. So if the months kind of varied for him, I think there's a monthly comparison you might be able to squeeze into. But for the EIDL loan, that's any economic injury, including not being able to open.
Okay.
Something like that. So that might be better.
Okay. Is that EIDL the 10,000 again, or is it any amount?
The grant is up to 10,000, 1,000 per employee was how they calculated it. And we don't know yet if they're going to open up the full lending program of it again and offer back loans. But that guidance should be coming out in the next week or two. I think.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And Ronnie put his email address in the chat. So if you want to grab that real quick.
And I keep like a little email list as they do these changes and send updates. So if you be kind of on that little email list for me, I'll send it out. And as you come up with questions, I'll be around there. They're not letting me go anywhere. So I'm hostage and chained to the desk. Sure.
And that is for sure. I can attest to that.
Yeah. So the program's exhausted. This is where I'm going to be.
Yeah, it's where you live. All right. Well, if no one has another question, we'll end it for now. And if you need something, just holler at one of us and we'll help you as best we can. So thanks, guys, for participating today.
Thank you, Laura.
Bye.
Yes.